Okay, so stretching your legs forward. Good, and just a little. You can either sit upright on your sitting bones, or you can bring your hands behind you. If you feel like you're rolling back, sometimes having the hands back there just keeps the body from overworking. And just a simple point with the toes and flex. Yes, or blanket, point and flex. Good, this time keep the toes lifted and spread and press through the balls of the feet, just through the balls of the feet. So the toes pull back towards the shins. And then lengthen the tips of the toes towards the wall in front of you. Foot cramp, foot cramp. And then curl the toes towards the heel. Foot cramp. Keep the toes curled towards the heel. Pull the top of the foot back towards the shin. So you're flexing the foot, but you're curling the toes towards the heel. And then lift the toes, spread. Keep the toes lifted one more time. Press through the ball of the foot. Reach the toes long. Curl the toes towards the heel. They can stay separated or a little space between the toes. Try that. And then top of the foot back, 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 back. Good, lift the toes. And then a big circle, right? So let's go out towards the sides of the room, letting the toes fan and spread as if they could sweep the side walls. Reaching the toes forward again, in towards each other. And again, find your end range or a full range. Big, slow circle. And then change direction. So most of the movement is at the ankle. My leg is turning just a little. Good. And then neutral. Okay, so let's do a couple roll-ups, couple roll-downs. So knees slightly bent. And you can use a block between the knees if that helps. Which it always helps me. Okay, so sitting up on my sitting bones, and then I'm gonna roll towards the back of the sitting bones, towards the tailbone, and I'm gonna keep letting the tailbone scoop towards the heels, right? So I feel the lower back widen, broaden. As I lay down, back body gets wide and long. And then coming up the way I came in, right? Scooping the tailbone forward, hollowing out the belly, rounding the back, come up to sit, sitting up on the center of the sitting bones. And then again, tailbone scooping forward, right? As I roll back, almost tucking it under, rolling up the length of the sacrum, even trying to lay the lower back on the floor. And then coming up the way that you came down. Last one, rolling down. Again, scoop the tailbone, so you almost roll over it, up the length of the sacrum. That juncture between top of sacrum and lumbar spine. Slow down, try to lay some of the lumbar down. And then roll back up. Okay, now straight legs. Same rolling, we're just doing the straight legs and we're rolling the spine. So tucking the chin to the chest. And scooping again, the tailbone slightly forward. So the lower back spreads back to the wall behind you. And I'm almost gonna try to tuck the crown of the head towards the pubis. Keep rounding into yourself. And then slowly slide the crown of the head forward. Stretching long through the side body, front body, back body. And come up through a flat back. Again, round. Good, so as the head comes forward, feel that kind of widening and lengthening in the back of the neck. Take that into the shoulders and upper back. Feeling the middle back spread. Even the lower back spread as the crown comes towards the pubis. And then scoop forward, lengthen it all out. and come up through a flat back. Last time, curl, round, spread the front body, spread the back body, curl into yourself, and then reach the crown forward and come back up. Okay, let's do two the opposite way. So come down flat back. And then as you keep lengthening forward for another breath, then curl. Crown of the head towards the pubis. That lower back, top of sacrum spreads back. And then round up. Sitting tall, come forward with a flat back. Long spine, curl. Curl the crown. Once you've hit your end range, curl the crown towards the pubis. Rolling up. Sacrum, lower back, middle back, upper back, and head. Okay. All right, let's come on to hands and knees. Palms under shoulders, knees under hips. So curling the toes under, and I'm just gonna press my weight back onto my feet, right? Letting that weight come onto the feet, spreading the toes, and I'm even pushing with my hands a little. And then press with the ball of the foot and shift forward. And then again, push back with the hands. Good, weight on the heels and push forward. Good, one more time, push back. And then this time I'm going to crawl my hands towards my knees. So now I'm sitting up on my heels. Good. And then press into the balls of the feet. And let's take the pelvis forward and up. Good, the ribs. So letting the back of the pelvis move forward and front ribs just tip towards the pubis. So front body stays contained a little. Let the back body lengthen. And then I'm going to keep the front ribs dropped as I lower back, lower back, lower back, and drop the buttocks back towards the heels. Hands to the floor, shift forward, point the toes back, and sit back on the heels. Just walking the hands back slightly. Maybe just a light lift of the knees. Light lift. Lower the knees. And come back onto hands and knees. One more time, curl the toes under. And sit back. So I'm just going to shift forward, put a little more weight on the big toes and inner feet, and shift my weight back. So my weight is favoring the inner foot. And then I'm going to push forward from the inner foot. And then I'm going to shift my weight towards the little toes, outer foot, and push my way back. Just stretching into those little toes. The heels can open slightly. Feels good. Push forward. And then as I come back, straight down the center, walk the hands back, come sit up on the heels. Good. So maybe, so you can use a block for this. So maybe just taking the right hand to the floor, just on the outside of the foot. And I'm just going to turn and look back first at my hand, and then maybe towards my right foot. Maybe keep turning, turning, turning. Try to find the left foot. And then come back to where you started. Other side, left hand behind you on the floor. Again, maybe looking at the left hand, maybe looking to see if you can find the left foot. Again, hand can be on the block. Turn, look back, see if you can find the right foot. And then come back to center. Not so easy. Push into the ball of the foot. Slowly bring the hips forward and up. Point the toes back just for a moment. So tops of the feet on the floor. Again, my front ribs are just dropped towards my pubis a little bit, so I'm a little more neutral. Again, let's just tip back, keeping the length of the torso, just leaning back like the wind is blowing me over, and then push back up. One more time, lean back. You can even reach the arms forward, and then buttocks back to the heels, and come forward onto hands and knees. Good. And let's just shift up and back to downward facing dog. Right, toes under, knees up. Even lift the heels up. Knees can be bent. Curl the sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Really slide the pelvis up, ribs up. Hands are nice and wide, spreading into the floor, pressing down and forward to send the spine up and back. And then maybe straighten knees and maybe lower heels. Hands sliding forward, spine lifting, sitting bones lifting, heels dropping. Good, knees to the floor. Okay, so coming down onto the forearms. So palms down for a moment. And I'm just gonna shift my ribs to the right. Right, and as I shift my ribs to the right, my right shoulder and my right hip come away from each other. And my left shoulder and my left hip come towards each other. And then shift left, opposite happens. Right, little side bend. And shift right. Even let the head, right, as my ribs shift to the right, my head maybe wants to go to the left just to help with a little side bend in the neck as well. And then shift left. Head leans right and right. And left. And then taking the spine up towards the ceiling, rounding, almost a cat shape. Letting the head drop and tailbone drop. And then the opposite, sitting bones spread back, breastbone slides forward, face lifts, and then round. Lifting the belly, emptying the belly, rounding the back. And then the opposite, sitting bones back, crown of the head forward. One more, round. And extend. And then maybe let's take the ribs to the ceiling and then to the right, to the floor, to the left, ceiling, right, as if we're moving around the inside of a barrel. Big circle. And then change direction. And notice where your head wants to go. How does it want to follow? Right, rather than lead. Good. And center. Let's take knees apart, toes together. Pull the hips back. Let the elbows come off the floor and come into a child's pose with the elbows up. Good. Let's go ahead and walk the hands to the right. So we're in a side bend in child's pose. That left hand pulling away from the left hip. Right, which takes the right ribs closer to the right hip. And again, notice with the head, how the head wants to follow. Maybe shifting to the right. Maybe turning, looking under the left arm. Walk back to center, over to the left side. Good, right hip pulling towards the right heel, right hand away. Nice and open through that right side of the body. Left ribs towards the left hip. And then maybe turning, look under that right arm. Maybe head keeps going to the left, Maybe it goes to the right. Center. One more time over to the right. Good. Let your breath help you. And again, playing with rotation, even though we're in a side bend, you can even turn the ribs towards the floor, right? Just different access into the side bend. Maybe you feel more of the back of the side bend. Or if you turn towards the ceiling, maybe you feel just different, more side, more armpit, more waist. And center, left side. Right hip away towards that right heel, right arm away. Again, play with rotating towards the floor or away from the floor. And both my sides are very different. I feel different things on each side. And back to center. Shift onto hands and knees. And let's come up and back. Downward dog. Let your breath lengthen. Remember that breath that we started with. More diffuse, soft, yet engaged, rich. Right, dynamic without frenzy. Calm without lethargy. Good. Lift your hips, walk your feet to your hands. Bend your knees, and let's slowly round up to stand. Same sense of head over ribs, over pelvis, over heels. Right? Sometimes the hips swing forward, sometimes the head swings forward. Can you feel? It's the greatest thing about the screen, right? Having that image of yourself. Okay, so curling down, right, crown of the head moves forward, chin to chest, rounding the upper back, middle back, right? So I'm still sending the lower belly back, the lower ribs back, the belly button back as I curl forward. I'm going to keep the legs straight today. Again, the lower body is still lifting as the upper body is curling into itself. Good. Start to reach the spine forward, similar to what we did on the floor. As the arms reach back, coming up through a flat back, arms almost moving in the opposition, behind, hands reaching back, crown of the head forward, and then all the way up. Again, chin to chest, feeling in the back of the neck. Keep rolling shoulders forward, upper back, middle back, lower back, lifting lower body, rounding down with the upper body. Good, start to lengthen out. Crown of the head starts to pull forward as the arms pull back. Arms even come up alongside the body, reaching back. Crown of the head forward, come up halfway, pause, and then keep coming up. Maybe pull the hips forward just to feel a different engagement in the backs of the legs as you come up. Chin to chest, last time. Rounding down. Again, the lower spine is lifting as the upper spine is curling over it. Segmentally roll down. Head and arms are passive pretty early. And then as you get down, start to reach the crown of the head forward. Let the arms lift and reach back as the spine lifts forward and up. Come up halfway. And then pull the hips forward as you lift the spine up over the pelvis. Okay, reverse. Arms move back as the spine moves forward, coming into that flat back shape, coming down the flat spine or long spine, neutral spine, and then keep folding down. Start to let the arms come down. Again, without bending the knees, I'm going to start to lift pubis up towards the navel, and then lift the navel up towards the lower ribs. And then keep lifting breastbone up. Last thing, head up. And again, fold forward. Arms reaching back. Come down through a flat back. And then keep coming down. Long spine. And then arms can come down. Spine can hang off the legs for a breath. And then round up. Right? So I'm almost pulling the hips forward, tucking a little bit to send tailbone forward, pubis up towards the navel, navel up towards the lower ribs up towards the breastbone, and come up. One more like that, flat back to come down. Good, keep coming down as long as you can in a flat back. At a certain point, your hamstrings will say no, and you'll start to round. Fine. And then again, pull the hips forward, engaging the backs of the legs, and let the hamstrings engage. Let that pull the sitting bone down as you curl the pubis up and segmentally roll up. Yay. Okay, so let's grab blocks. I'm just going to grab or put my 2 blocks on the middle height. So instead of the lowest height, they're up on the middle height. So I can use my hand around the block. I can use my fingers a little bit more than when the block is low and I'm just on my palm. So just for a moment, standing. Again, eyes open. So maybe find a point to focus on the wall in front of you, something that's not moving or too busy. Again, using your peripheral vision. Maybe you see a little bit of your chest through your peripheral vision. If you can't, maybe the head can come back a little bit more. Just feel your weight on your feet. Where's the weight? Heels, outer foot, inner foot, toes, where? And the right foot and left foot may be very different. Just notice. Good. So letting for a moment your sacrum and tailbone, back of the pelvis. You can even put your hand on the back of the pelvis for a moment just to feel it. I'm going to let my sacrum move forward in space, not a big movement, and just feel what happens in my legs and feet. And then maybe one hand on the lower belly and pubis, and I'm going to send my belly and my pubis back and feel what happens in the legs and the feet. One more time, sacrum forward. Right, I feel more weight coming to the front of my foot. Right, and this often happens. I don't know if you can see it in my body, but we often stabilize using our feet, but my spine is forward. Right, so I'm using my feet to hold me up. Whereas if I'm stacked, pelvis over legs over heels, spine, pelvis, legs, then I'm a little more aligned to gravity, and it gives me an opportunity to find almost through oscillation a relationship to gravity rather than overstabilizing with my feet. I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe take the feet just a little wider for a moment. It's easier to feel. And let your weight come forward and back. Take your hands away, forward and back. And feel the place where you can feel back of body engaged, front of body engaged. There's a little less pushing forward and a little less falling back, but there's organization around the center line. Again, it's movement, it's oscillating, it's not fixed. Right, very little is fixed in nature. Okay, now let's bring feet together. See if you can find it again or play with it, right? Knowing it's more of a conversation than a statement. Let's take the arms out and up, reaching up. Let's keep the palms forward, fingertips up, head forward. So again, we're pretty neutral for a moment. And then maybe turn the palms towards each other. Maybe lift your head, look up, palms together, very different shape, very different muscles. Look up, slide the arms up. And then take the arms out to the side, flat back, fold over your legs. Hands on your blocks. Step right leg back, left leg back, downward dog. Good, letting the heel of the hand, ball of the hand, fingers engage with the block. Okay, I'm just gonna let my weight start to shift forward, but I'm gonna lift my heels, lift my ribs, come more through a rounded plank shape. Draw the right knee up towards the ribs, towards the nose, pull the knee forward gracefully. Step that right foot inside of the block. And the left heel turns in and down, or to the right side of the mat and down to the floor. So the toes are still slightly turned towards the front of the mat. And then right hand on the block, left hand comes to the hip, and I'm gonna slowly straighten that right leg towards a triangle pose. So you can either slide your hand and your block back to straighten the leg, or you can turn your block up. Okay, so once the legs are straight, either pull the feet towards each other if you need a little more hamstring support, or press the feet away from each other. Turning now, pubis, breastbone, eyes towards the ceiling, left arm up. Good, pressing down into the feet, hands or right hand to send the rest of the body up. Long through the spine, neck, limbs. Good, and then I'm gonna turn the ribs back towards the floor. Right leg stays straight. Good, so block comes under that left hand, and you can even move the block further to the left if that helps. And I'm gonna turn my hips towards the front of the mat. I'm gonna step my left foot a little further over to the left side of the mat, or even closer to the front of the mat so I can plant the heel down. And then I'm gonna shift my weight onto my left hand. And think about taking that right arm up to the ceiling. So same feeling, I can either pull my feet towards each other, front to back, left to right, or press them away from each other. Now I wanna almost think about scooping that outer right hip towards the back of the mat or towards that left heel. And then press into the left hand, turn, look up. Slow the breath down. Good, right hand down. Pause for a moment, long spine. Good, maybe bend the arms slightly and let the ribs come closer to the front leg. See if anything happens. And then bend the front knee and step that right leg back. Good, let the weight shift forward. Again, lift the heels round. Lift the ribs, pull the left thigh into the ribs, left knee forward, 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 left foot forward. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that right heel in and down, in towards the center of the body, down to the floor, and start to straighten that left leg. Again, slide the block back or turn it up. Once the legs are straight, right arm to the ceiling. Either pulling feet towards each other, front to back, or push and spread apart. Let that support the spine, right? Eventually, we don't need that left hand. Good, and then turn pubis, belly, eyes, look up. Good, and then right arm down to the floor or to that right block. And let the turn, right? Let the ribs lift round as you turn, just getting that stretch through the middle back, upper back. And then maybe walk the block a little forward, all the way to the right side of the mat, step the right foot in, maybe walk it to the right side of the mat. So the feet are wide on the mat, left foot on the left side, right foot on the right side, right hand down, left arm up. Turn the belly to the left. If you can, let your left hip pull towards the back of the mat, towards that right heel. And as it pulls back, turn against it, meaning turn the ribs to the left. One more breath here. And then again, left hand on the block. Hips are facing the front of the mat. Crown of the head forward, so I'm in a flat back. And then maybe just bend the arms, letting the ribs lean, fall towards that front leg. If the back starts to lift and round, then keep lengthening forward. Let it happen slowly. Good. Bend the front knee, hands on block. Downward dog. Lengthen the breath. Lengthen the inhale. Lengthen the exhale. Good. Knees to the floor. Good. I'm keeping the toes under. So one, I can engage the feet. Hands are on blocks. Again, I can use my fingers wrapped around the edge of the block, but weight is still in the heel of the hand and the ball of the hand. Good. So I'm going to start to press into the feet, sending the pelvis forward. Good. Now, at a certain point, the sitting bones push forward, but the pubis starts to lift up towards the front ribs. All right, keep lifting the pubis up. And then press the hands down, pull the hands back, pull the arms back as the sitting bones move forward. All right, so it's almost like I'm trying to pull my pelvis upright, front of the pelvis up, back of the pelvis down. And then lifting through side body, maybe eyes up, crown up, maybe even knees up. And then pull the hips back and up, downward dog. Okay, one more standing pose. So shifting weight forward again, lift the heels around the back, right thigh lifts towards the ribs, knee towards the nose, right foot inside the block. Left heel in and down. Right, so left toes are still slightly to the front of the mat. So right knee's gonna stay bent this time, hips low. Right hand stays on the block, left arm up. Turn, look up. Good. Keep turning to look up as you take that left arm alongside the ear. So I'm looking up under that left upper arm. And then maybe let's turn towards the floor. Left hand comes down towards the floor, eyes towards the floor. Left hand starts to reach right down and along the floor towards the back foot, towards the left foot, towards the back wall, and then back up to the ceiling. Reach the arms away from each other. Turn, look up, and again, left arm alongside the ear. And again, round down, left hand to the block. So I'm just going to lift the left heel, pivot, so that the top of the left thigh is now forward. Left hip is facing forward. So I'm in a lunge with the hips facing forward, toes facing forward, both feet. Left hand comes to the block, shifting my weight into my left hand, right arm out and up. So again, pulling the feet towards each other, front to back, or pressing them apart, whatever gives you more leverage, to then turn the spine to the right. And then right hand back to the block. Shift your weight back. Downward dog. Okay, other side, lift the heels, let your weight come forward. Left knee lifts, knee to the nose, left foot inside the block. So right heel comes in and down, so the right foot is flat on the floor. Toes just slightly towards the front of the mat. Left hand on the block. Right arm now comes up to the ceiling. Again, feet either pull towards each other or press apart so that the legs become organized enough so that you can then move the spine. Again, turn, look up towards the right hand. Right arm alongside the ear, and I'm looking just to the inside. Inner right arm. And then I'm going to let my back round. Hand towards the floor, head towards the floor. Then tracing along the floor towards the back foot, towards the back wall, towards the ceiling. Reach up, look up, and again, right arm overhead. Long neck, back of the neck long. And again, turn towards the block. Right hand down. So right heel lifts, pivot onto the ball of the foot, so the heel's back, toes forward. Lunge. Right hand down. Left arm up. Again, pull feet towards each other or press them apart. Feel what gives you more leverage. Again, turn the belly and the ribs to the left. Look up. And left hand down. Lift the left foot. Step back, downward dog. Good. Knees to the floor. So same thing we did before, pressing into the feet, sending the base of the pelvis forward. Right, opening up that front of the hip. So I'm sending sitting bones forward, tailbone forward, pubis up, frontal hip bones up, breastbone up, ears up, hands press down and pull back, arms pull back, maybe even the knees lift, maybe. Hips up and back, downward dog. Good, lift your heels up and walk one foot forward. Lift both heels up again, other foot forward. Lift heels, walk forward, feet all the way forward. Bend your knees. Let your ribs, front ribs, rest on your thighs. Let your back ribs spread, widen, fill with breath. And then slowly round up. Drop the sitting bones. Let the arms hang. Okay, so feet not too close together, just a little further apart. And we're just going to play. So if you're on carpet, you may want to stand off of your mat, so you're just on the carpet, not on the mat on carpet. If you're on a thick mat, you may want to stand on hard floor. Okay, so hands on front hip bones, right? So if you walk your hands up the front of your thigh and you find that bony prominence, the front of the pelvis, just before you hit the lower belly, just hold your fingers there. And right knee comes up without the pelvis moving a lot, right? So that right hip stays with the left hip. It's just a movement in the femur. And then the right knee comes out to the side. So the top of the thigh is facing the ceiling. Now we're going to lift that right foot and turn the front of the thigh forward towards you. And then I'm going to take that right leg back behind me. And then maybe touch the right toes to the floor, just outside that left foot. And then a little curtsy, bend both knees. So some weight can come into the right leg, right? Even the left hand come down, right arm can come up. Just feel that weight shift. And then shift back onto the left leg. Shift back. Lift that right leg up. Come back into that kind of side, right knee out to the side of the right hip, foot up, thigh facing forward. And then drop the foot. So now the knee is just straight out to the side and forward and down. All right, we did these on the floor last week. So left knee up, left knee out. Good, the foot is down. Now pick the foot up without lifting the hip too much. It's gonna lift, that's okay. Keep lifting the foot, arms out for balance if you need. Swing that leg behind you and then touch the left foot to the floor. Good, curtsy, knees drop a little bit, and I'm just gonna shift the weight into the back foot, which is now my left foot. Right hand down, left arm up. And then shift the weight back. Right foot. Pick up that left leg. Out to the side with the foot lifted. Then let the foot drop. Then let the knee come forward. And down. Yay! All right, let's do it again because it's kind of fun. So make it fluid enough so it feels fun. Maybe. Let's take the arms wide now. Knee up, wide and soft. Knee out to the side. You can use your hands on your hips if that helps you, right? Because you take the weight out to the side. It's just different, right? Whether it's as opposed to weight center. Lift the foot. Good. Slide the foot back. Touch down. Little curtsy, shift back. Shift forward. Pick the leg up. Foot up, out to the side. Drop the foot. Knee forward. And down. Good. Arms out to the side or hands on hips. Left knee up. Left knee out to the side. Ideally, the pubis stays somewhat forward, right? So if the pelvis starts to turn, maybe the knee doesn't go out so far. Lift the foot. Good. Slide that leg back. And down. Little curtsy. Shift into that back foot. Shift forward into the front foot. Pick the foot up. Keep the foot lifted, knee comes out to the side, foot down, knee forward, foot down. Yay! Okay, we won't do the last part, but I'm just gonna play with right knee up and out. So I'm gonna take the right arm up, and then I'm gonna pull the right elbow and the knee towards each other. Press them into each other. And then down. And then take that left knee out or up and out. Maybe left arm up for a moment, reach up, get taller, and then pull the left elbow to the knee. Knee into the elbow. Squeeze, lift, and then the opposite. Let's take the arms up again. One more time each side. Right knee up and out, pull the knee to the elbow, lift the knee higher, squeeze it into the arm, whip, and release. Left knee up and out, pull the knee to the elbow, squeeze, and release. And arms down. All right, so coming down onto your back. All right, so blocks, 2 blocks. On the lowest height, we've done this one before, feet or blocks about 1.5 inches apart. And then I'm going to take my blanket on the bottom of the mat, set it up, and then put my blocks on the blanket in that same spacing. One edge of the block is up on the blanket, one edge is on the floor, like this. And then a little crab walk, 1 foot or feet on the blanket side, lift the hips, dropping the tailbone off the back end. So my, I would say upper sacrum is on the blocks. Come down onto your forearms. As I come down, I'm just tractioning the ribs away from the sacrum, and you can adjust that when you're on the floor as well. Right? Hands on the blocks, lift and slide the ribs away. So the spine feels neutral. There's just a little sense of space in the lower back. Pelvis heavy. Good. I'm just going to play with the right knee comes up over the right hip. So the thigh bone is perpendicular to the floor. So the weight stays on the block. Same with the left leg. Left knee comes up. Weight of the femur is directly over the pelvis. Thighs perpendicular to the floor. Ideally, the back doesn't engage very much, nor does the belly. Maybe there's a little bit, but it feels balanced, front body, back body. And minimal. Okay. So now let's play with lifting the feet up. So I'm going to work to straighten the legs with the weight of the legs still over the pelvis. If the hamstrings are really tight and you start to posterior tilt and squeeze your belly, then keep the knees slightly bent. See if you can feel for the place where the pelvis feels neutral. Right, there's those micro oscillations, and the spine feels neutral, meaning front and back of spine are organizing, front and back of pelvis, even the front and back of the legs. Just little conversations. Good, maybe feet together. If that's more challenging for the hamstrings, then take the feet a little further out. And maybe try one of each just to feel how your body responds to the weight towards the center line, weight away from the center line. And then bend your knees slowly without changing the shape of the pelvis. Bring the feet back to the floor. Good. Last thing, just for the inner legs, maybe a little psoas. Take the feet together. You can even walk the feet closer to the blocks or further out. Again, we all have different configurations in our body. Right? Some of us tend to use more inner thighs, and some of us use more outer thighs. Some of us use more quad. Some of us use more hamstring. Depends on our activity, our body shape. Maybe take the arms wide. or even overhead, if you can keep the spine neutral, or take hold of opposite elbow, right? Finding just a different arm configuration. If you have opposite elbow, change the hold of the elbow, or you can, again, just adjust the arms. Maybe if the arms are out to the side, bend the elbows. Just a different effect on the front shoulder. And then slowly, slowly bring the knees up. Release the hands down. Your choice, you can either slide the blocks off to the side or anchor the feet. Use that slight posterior tilt. Scoop the tailbone, sitting bones up. Lift the pelvis. So either blocks towards the feet or out to the side. And segmentally roll spine down. Slowly straighten your legs. If you want the blanket under your thighs for support instead of the block, or the blanket over you, make yourself comfortable. And then just feel your body soften back, melt back, sink back into the support. And just keep feeling your body respond to the support. And how can you use your breath to continue to soften? Even just a sense of allowing or receiving, exploring those qualities in your body and your being.